Do you ever feel a sudden chill, even when you're alone? Sometimes reality cracks and something else peers through. Tonight, we'll share 3 true tales that blur the line between the living and the dead. From a haunted birthday party to a sinister home invasion and a monstrous secret lurking in suburbia. These stories are warnings. Turn down the lights, lock your doors, and listen closely. The abyss is waiting. Are you brave enough to face it? Our world is built on rules until something breaks them. First, a New Year's birthday party becomes a haunting when a camera captures what shouldn't exist. Next, a girl named Sarah faces terror as something stalks her home, blurring the line between human and monster. Finally, a neighborhood is plagued by a grotesque entity, forcing a desperate fight for survival. These stories challenge what we believe is possible, what horrors might be lurking just beyond the veil. My birthday falls on New Year's Eve, a night of celebration and superstition. This year we gathered at my aunt's sprawling, supposedly haunted house. I never believed the ghost stories until that night. As midnight approached, excitement filled the air. We counted down, ready to welcome the new year. I had no idea my skepticism was about to be shattered. After the countdown, I slipped away to the bathroom, leaving the party's noise behind. In the dim hallway, I passed my cousin taking selfies, then reached the old bathroom door. Inside, I saw her, a woman in a white dress, unnaturally pale, standing motionless with her back to me. I blinked, hoping she'd vanish, but she remained. Fear rooted me in place. Logic failed. The rational kid who didn't believe in ghosts was face to face with the impossible. I couldn't move. I tried to convince myself it was a trick of the light, but she didn't disappear. Suddenly she began to turn her head toward me, slow, deliberate, inhuman. Terror took over. I slammed the door and ran. Back in the living room, my panic was obvious. Then my cousin screamed, pointing at his iPad. On his selfies, the ghostly woman stood behind him, her face twisted in a silent scream. The room filled with dread, proof that some nightmares are real. All eyes were fixed on the iPad. My cousin's hands shook as he swiped through selfies, each one showing a ghostly woman in the background, getting closer. The room fell silent. This was undeniable proof. The party ended. I asked my mum to walk with me. I believe in ghosts now. I have to. I've seen one. My name is Sarah. 3 years ago, when I was 14, I spent a quiet night alone at home in our suburban Australian neighborhood. Our house always felt safe until that night. A strange noise broke the silence, growing louder, more deliberate. My heart pounded as footsteps approached my door. Someone was there, someone who shouldn't be. Heavy footsteps echoed down the hallway, each one sending fear through me. I lay frozen in bed, clutching my phone as a shadow appeared beneath my door, unmistakably shoes standing just outside. My door had no lock. I was trapped, silent, praying the intruder wouldn't come in. My hands shook as I tried to call for help, but no one answered. Alone, I watched the shadow of shoes under my door, heart pounding. Suddenly, the shadow vanished, leaving only silence and fear. My home felt like a hunting ground, and I was utterly alone. Alone and terrified, I called my friend, whispering about the noises and the shadow under my door. Her calm voice was a lifeline. She told me to barricade the door with my body. I pressed myself against the door, heart pounding, waiting in the suffocating silence. Relief flooded me when my mum arrived. But the laundry room window was wide open. Someone had been in my house, right outside my room. When I moved to this quiet, peaceful neighborhood, I thought I'd finally found a safe place to call home. But soon a foul, unexplainable stench crept through my house. Following it to my front door, I opened it and found a decaying, bug-infested girl standing on my doorstep. A scream tore from my throat as I stared at the nightmare before me, a zombie, her vacant eyes and decaying flesh inches away. I was frozen, the stench overwhelming, her hand gripping my door. Suddenly, she vanished. I stood in shock, heart pounding. A neighbor appeared, smiling. "Oh, that was just Rose. Give her candy next time," he said, handing me sweets. I stood there on my porch for a long time, the candies feeling heavy and absurd in my trembling hand. My mind was a whirlwind of confusion and terror. A zombie, a candy-demanding zombie named Rose, and a neighbor, who I would later learn was named Tom, who spoke of this grotesque horror as if she were a mischievous neighborhood pest. It was all too much to comprehend. I stumbled back inside and locked the door, my sense of safety in this quiet little neighborhood completely shattered. The encounter had been brief, but it had irrevocably altered my perception of reality. The world was clearly not the orderly, rational place I had always believed it to be. A few days later, I was forced to confront this new, terrifying reality once again. I was driving to work, my mind still preoccupied with the memory of the decaying girl and Tom's bizarre advice. As I turned a corner onto my street, my car lurched violently as I hit something. A sickening thud echoed through the vehicle, and my heart leaped into my throat. I slammed on the brakes, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. Peering through the windshield, my worst fears were confirmed. It was her. It was Rose, lying in a crumpled, unnatural heap on the asphalt in front of my car. I had hit her. I had run over the zombie girl. My initial shock quickly gave way to a new kind of horror as I watched what happened next. Rose began to move. With a series of sickening cracks and pops, she pushed herself up from the ground. Her limbs, which had been bent at impossible angles, twisted and snapped themselves back into place as if they were made of rubber. She stood up, seemingly unharmed, and turned her vacant eyes towards my car. She then began to approach, her gait unsteady but purposeful. She walked right up to my driver's side window and extended a grimy, decaying hand. In her palm was a small, sticky pile of what looked like leftover candy from a previous offering. As she opened her mouth, presumably to make some guttural demand, a scream of pure terror escaped my lips. I fumbled with the locks, my mind screaming at me to drive away, to run her over again if I had to. Just as I was about to stomp on the accelerator, Tom came running out of his house. Without a moment's hesitation, he threw a handful of fresh candy onto the street behind Rose. Her attention immediately shifted. She turned away from my car and began lurching after the scattered sweets, giving me the chance to escape. Later that day, Tom sought me out to offer a more detailed and chilling explanation of the neighborhood's curse. Tom found me in my yard that evening, his expression grim. He warned me, Rose is a deadly presence, like a black hole for life. Everything living withers near her. After hearing stories of sudden deaths and seeing her snatch candy with a monstrous hand, I knew this thing was not from our world. Our neighborhood lived in fear, appeasing a monster with candy. I refused to accept it. One night I polished a steel ball to look like candy. When Rose came, I offered it to her. She swallowed it, then collapsed, vanishing into thin air. My desperate gambit had worked. For the first time since I had moved in, the neighborhood felt truly quiet. Rose was gone. The oppressive sense of dread that had hung over our streets like a physical shroud had lifted. A collective sigh of relief rippled through the community. That weekend, the town spontaneously decided to celebrate. Someone had the darkly humorous idea of holding a candy-smashing festival in the local park. People brought bags of old Halloween candy, sweets they had bought for Rose, and piñatas. They smashed them with bats and hammers, a symbolic and cathartic release of all the fear and tension they had been holding on to for so long. It was a bizarre, joyous occasion. I was hailed as a hero. My neighbors, including a grateful Tom, clapped me on the back and thanked me for my courage. They said I had done what no one else had dared to do. I'd faced the monster and won. For a little while, I allowed myself to believe it. I started to relax, to enjoy the peace and quiet of the neighborhood as I had originally intended. The stench of decay was gone, the constant threat had vanished, and life began to return to a semblance of normality. I thought it was over. I truly believed that my desperate gambit with the steel ball had solved the problem for good. I was catastrophically wrong. My period of peace lasted for about a week. One evening I was walking home from the park, enjoying the sunset, when I saw a large crowd gathered around the town's cotton candy vendor. People were screaming and running in terror, scattering in every direction. Pushing my way forward to see what the commotion was about, my blood ran cold. There, standing by the cart, was a huge, monstrous figure, happily devouring a massive pink cloud of cotton candy. It was Rose, but she had changed. She had transformed into something far more terrifying than the shambling corpse she had been before. She was now much larger, her body covered in thick, grey, stone-like scales that looked as hard as granite. The bugs were gone, replaced by this new, formidable armor. As she finished the cotton candy, her head swiveled and her eyes, now glowing with a faint, malevolent light, locked directly onto me. A horrifying, guttural roar erupted from her throat and she began to charge. She recognized me. She knew I was the one who had hurt her, and now she was back for revenge. The celebration was over, and a new, more terrifying nightmare had just begun. Panic seized me as the monstrous, transformed Rose charged directly at me. I turned and ran, my feet pounding against the pavement, the sound of her heavy, stone-like footsteps crashing behind me. She was faster now, more powerful. The pathetic, shambling creature was gone, replaced by a relentless predator. As I sprinted through the now deserted streets, she opened her mouth and sprayed a thick, sticky, web-like fluid at me. The substance hit my legs and torso, and to my horror, it began to harden almost instantly, encasing me in a restrictive cocoon. My movements became sluggish, my legs heavier with each step, until I finally stumbled and fell to the ground, completely immobilized. I thought I was going to die. I lay there, trapped in the rapidly hardening fluid, watching as the scaled monstrosity lumbered towards me. Her shadow fell over me and she leaned down, her cavernous mouth opening wide, ready to deliver the final fatal bite. I closed my eyes, bracing for the end, my mind filled with regret for ever thinking I could defeat such a creature. Just as I had given up all hope, a shout rang out. "Get away from him, you foul beast!" I opened my eyes to see Tom, and with him an elderly man dressed in the robes of a priest, clutching a rosary in one hand. They had come to help me. As Rose turned her attention towards them, the priest took action. He produced a large red water balloon from a bag at his side. With a surprisingly strong arm, he hurled it directly at Rose. The balloon soared through the air and struck her squarely in the chest, bursting on impact. But it wasn't just water that splashed across her stone-like scales. It was holy water. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Rose shrieked, a high-pitched, unearthly sound of pure agony as the blessed liquid began to melt her hardened skin. Her body dissolved like sugar in water, melting away into a steaming, foul-smelling puddle on the ground until nothing was left. As the creature melted, the sticky fluid that had imprisoned me dissolved as well, freeing me from my bonds. Tom and the priest helped me to my feet, my body trembling with adrenaline and residual terror. The nightmare, it seemed, was finally, truly over. I didn't wait for another transformation or another return. I packed my belongings that very night. The next day I moved away from that cursed neighborhood and never looked back. Tom still lives there, and he tells me that Rose has vanished for good this time. But I will always live with the fear. Deep down, I worry that she isn't truly gone, that she is merely waiting, evolving, and that someday she may return. In the dark, fear takes many forms, ghosts haunting old houses, shadows slipping under doors, and horrors that defy reason. These stories remind us that safety is fragile, and sometimes the unknown is closer than we think. In the silence, echoes of terror linger, forever changing how we see the night. As our collection of chilling tales comes to a close, we are left to ponder the darkness that has been stirred. These stories, born from the chilling intersection of the ordinary and the terrifying, serve a greater purpose than simply to frighten. They are cautionary tales, whispers from the abyss that remind us to stay vigilant. They urge us to listen to that primal instinct that makes the hair on our arms stand up, to trust the feeling that something is deeply wrong, even when our eyes see nothing. The birthday ghost, the home intruder, and the suburban zombie are all facets of the same encroaching shadow, a persistent reminder that we are never as safe as we believe ourselves to be. The darkness, as we have said, never truly sleeps. It is a patient and persistent force waiting in the periphery of our vision, in the silence between heartbeats, and in the spaces we foolishly believe are empty. The stories we have shared tonight are not confined to the pages from which they were read. Their echoes will follow you. They will be there when you hear an unfamiliar creak in the floorboards above or see a fleeting shadow move where none should be. They will linger in your mind as you lock your doors at night, forcing you to wonder if the locks are truly enough to keep the horrors of the world at bay. These narratives prove that the line between our reality and a world of nightmares is not a solid wall, but a fragile, permeable membrane. Whether the threat is supernatural, human, or something far stranger, its ability to shatter our peace is absolute. From a spectral image on a screen to a pair of shoes outlined under a door, the evidence of this other world is all around us, waiting for those who are unfortunate enough to see it. We invite you to carry these stories with you, not as a burden of fear, but as a shield of awareness. Be cautious, be mindful, and be prepared, for you never know what lurks just beyond the light. The darkness never sleeps, and neither do our stories. If you dare to hear more, to venture deeper into the shadows with us, click that subscribe button and become part of our growing family of horror aficionados. New spine-tingling tales are always waiting to be unearthed, ready to haunt your nights and challenge your perception of the world. We thank you for joining us on this terrifying journey. Until the next time we gather in the gloom, stay safe and always, always beware what lurks in the shadows. They are closer than you think.